with part 13 of the Kissel videos showing the restoration of the 655 from 1926 two-door Brougham. At the moment we're showing you some shots that happened to happen in the past. You might see some dates in the corner. You can see here we're installing the top material. Shows a little progression of how that went. Right here is something really interesting. Underneath the seats, we found out the Kissel didn't actually make the seats. They, in fact, had somebody else do the seats for them. And it is stenciled on all of the seats in the car, and that's still in the car. Right here, you're looking at the fact we're working with waxed button thread to set up the seats. You can kind of see part way done here where we pull it down, make the shape Kissel had. Outdoors, December 16th, showing the progress of the car at that time. And it has since changed a lot because the car essentially totally looks done on this day when I'm doing this. Here we are doing actual split rim tire installation. This is a rim jack. Got that one off of eBay. You want to find a very good one. The rims on this particular car are 21-inch Firestone rims. The the tires are 21 by 6. You'll actually find that printed on the wheels. The tires again. What we're going on with here is we're putting in talc using a talc sock. You want to talc the inside of your tire if you're going to put it on a rim, whether it's a split rim or not. Whenever you're using an inner tube, you want to do that. Purpose of the talc is to prevent the inner tube from bonding to the tire itself. Now you'll notice with the split rim jack we have reduced the rim size. You can see that I've pulled it in about to the point where the rim is inside of the opposite end. Now you'll notice that we're installing the inner tube now at this point part way. The reason for the entire video is I couldn't find anybody explaining how to do a split rim this size online, and I couldn't get anybody in the town of Prescott, Arizona to even touch the idea of a split rim. So I figured out how to do it myself. Now you'll notice I'm working on taking out the actual valve. You need a valve stem remover. You can get that from Bicycle Shop just like we did. And now we're inserting it into the tire. Valve stem remover allows you to remove the interior of the valve stem for the valve, and you can put it in later. So we're going to feed it in. Throughout this video, you'll find a number of times like this where we've actually speeded up the action because it takes a while to do this. It took me about a day and a half to figure out how the hell I was ever going to put this together. So here I am inserting the inner tube into the tire. And you notice how I've got it positioned over the rim. As we go through here, you'll see how I put it together. Now I've got the valve back in there just enough so I can put a little inflation in it. Part of the inflation is to make the tire expand, also to make sure I don't have something twisted as I'm putting the inner tube into the tire. So now you can see a rough idea of what we're doing. I'm going to take the valve out of the valve stem again. That's now going to go into a little container I have. Now we're going to start setting the tire onto the rim itself. One of the biggest things is to make sure that inner tube does not get pinched on the rim. Now notice in the Firestone rim, we actually have to get the valve stem through a specific spot. You can see the hole I just inserted it through. Notice I constantly keep repositioning the inner tube. That's extremely important. You do not want to pinch the inner tube. You pinch the inner tube, you're going to put a hole in it. You're going to need a new inner tube, or you're going to have somebody patch it for you. Don't even think about buying a patch at Harbor Freight. They're absolutely garbage. Alright, this is another thing I learned. It took me 2 videos of other people who didn't tell me enough stuff to find out that getting a large clamp like this really helps to start with. Notice I also have my weight on my knee to hold the tire down. You're going to find out that you need to have your body weight to help put this together by hand. I weigh about 180 pounds to give you an idea, so how much weight I'm using at times. As you can see again, I'm working that inner tube a lot. Now this is something that you can get at Harbor Freight and you're absolutely going to need. You're going to need 2 of the longest tire irons they can give you. Actually, you're going to pay for them, but nonetheless, you need 2 of the longest ones they have. Notice there are 2 ends on the tire iron. Right now, I'm not using the curved end, I'm using the flat end. You notice what I'm doing is working my way around, using my weight to hold the tire iron, and you've got to have 2. You cannot do this with 1 tire iron. It takes 2 tire irons. Watch exactly how I'm doing it, and you work your way around. Do not expect to pull this thing on in one shot. It'll never happen. You're going to have to spend your time working each part of the rim around. And you'll see that I'll go back and forth, side to side, as necessary. And remember, notice I'm constantly concerned about where the inner tube is. If that inner tube is pinched between the tire and the rim, you will put a hole in it. Notice also I am kneeling on the tire. I'm using my entire body weight to hold the tire down where I need it to be. And you can see now I'm working both sides of the tire as I told you I was going to. Work a little bit each side and work along each side, always pushing the inner tube back in, and as necessary switch to the opposite side to work. The reality is you can't do it from one side alone. You must switch back and forth. How do I decide how to switch back and forth? It depends on how the tire is going on. So here we are flipping to the other side again. You notice how I use that. I'm not using the curved end, I'm using the flat end. And you remember, largest tire irons you can get at Harbor Freight will do this job. You see how I use and insert them. Remember, this is speeded up. Obviously, it takes longer than it's appearing. Each time, I am literally stretching the real tire there by manual labor. Unfortunately, I don't have another way to do it. And as I said, nobody in Prescott, Arizona, nobody was willing to try to put these tires on. So much for the so-called professionals. So the amateur here is going to put the tire on anyway. Notice how you work 2 tire irons. And you notice I'm not moving that far over. 1 inch to 1.5 inches at a time is all I'm moving over. Now at some point you're going to find the thing just plain pops on. But until you get to that point, you're using your body weight, you're using 2 tire irons, working one after the other, gradually working in, and a tremendous amount making sure that inner tube is not getting pinched. I cannot stress that enough because I pinched an inner tube a whole lot when I was learning how. You've absolutely got to constantly work that inner tube into place. Because the minute you pinch it, you will put a hole in it. Especially since they're all made in China or India now, and they're basically half as good as what they used to be made in the United States. Now here's a trick that'll help, but it only helps really at the end. That's WD-40 that I sprayed on everything. It'll help the rim of the tire slide onto the actual rim itself of the wheel. But it doesn't seem to do you a lot of good until you're down to the end, because basically it's too slippery early on is what I've found out. You've got to use it towards the end. Don't try to use it early on. Notice we're getting very close. Remember, you see I'm kneeling on this tire the entire time, utilizing my body weight in order to hold the tire down. And I know I'm being redundant about this, but the constant working of that inner tube is extremely necessary. And we've almost got it, about ready to pop this on, the last little bit. Again, working that inner tube, make sure the inner tube is not getting pinched. And I'm being very redundant, but trust me, I really screwed up on inner tube and had to buy a new one because I didn't do what I should have been doing, which is constantly working on that inner tube. Okay, this is almost in. This is about ready to pop in, but it's more important first to get the inner tube underneath there. If I don't get it underneath there, I'm going to ruin the inner tube right at the very last minute. A little more WD-40 here. Make sure this is all as slippery as possible. Remember, use WD-40 only. Don't find something else. Use that. It actually works right for it. A little more. Getting all set. We're about ready to pop this on. Making sure that inner tube is all the way in there before I pop it over. And yes, it's this much of a futzy job. You can't do it any faster. Alright, here you're going to watch how I'm going to pop the thing on. The tire is now officially on the rim. Problem is, once it's on the rim, you're not done. So you're going to show you how to solve that problem. So we're going to relieve the pressure on the rim jack. You can get a rim jack off of eBay. Be sure you get one that's not broken, that's very sturdy. And the problem is finding one the right size. Most of them are made for Model Ts, and that wheel is actually too small. In this case, remember, we're doing a 21-inch wheel for a 1926 Kissel. Now you'll notice I do not have the rim put back together. How the heck am I going to solve that? Well, we're about to show you. We're putting the valve back into the valve stem. Remember, you can get that item that does that at a bicycle shop to remove that valve. Now we're going to pump the tire up part way. I'm not going to pump it all the way, but I'm pumping it part way because it actually caused the tire to fit better. Here I've got a Harbor Freight Porter Power system. This is a 4-ton system. You're going to need at least 4 tons to actually put this back together. This particular unit works pretty good, but as typical of Chinese items, and I'll make a comment, Chinese items are never as good as the American items. The problem with the Chinese item is this one's going to leak. It works well, but it leaks. And it's too bad things aren't made in America where they should be made, because we used to make really high quality stuff. I had one from the 30s or 40s. It'd probably be just as good as the day it was new. Notice I've kind of worn out my rubber end. I'm trying to get a new one of those. I'm going to use a shop rag to wrap the other end as we set the Porter Power in place. The Porter Power system is to push that rim back into shape. This often takes 2 to 3 different positions to get it right, but you've got to get the rim back into shape so that the lock, which you can see there, where the 2 rim pieces are close together, actually fits back into the rim. Personally, I don't know a better way to do this than to use the Porter Power system. Maybe somebody else has a way, and they'll have to tell me how they did it, but this particularly works well. You notice, you see the rim is going back together this way, but remember I said it usually takes 2 to 3 times of resetting to get that to lock in place. There I'm using a actual pry bar. That's a real pry bar. That's not a screwdriver. Don't try a screwdriver. It's not going to work. You need a pry bar. So you want a mechanic's pry bar. This is a shorter one. A bigger one might be more helpful, because you're going to have to move things around bit by bit, because you've got to get that lock mechanism back into place. Notice I'm going to change the Porter Power now, different position, so I can push on the rim a little bit different and get it back where it should actually be. Remember, this is a 4-ton system. You're going to need at least 4 tons to do this. I don't think you can do it with anything less. There's a 10-ton system also sold by Harbor Freight, if I remember correctly. The 10-ton system obviously would be better, but I have a 4-ton. This is the 3rd reset I'm doing in order to get this into its position. Each time I'm just pushing a little bit to gradually move it over, and you can see I'm using the pry bar again to get that into its actual slot. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's more difficult. Depends on each rim that you've got and the condition the rim it's in. The rims here in particular were done in zinc plating, just as original. We found a firm in Phoenix, Arizona that could do that for us. Notice I've been using the tire iron a little bit too. It's a longer lever arm to help me push everything into place. If you had a longer mechanic's pry bar, you wouldn't need to use the tire iron there. Okay, here I am on the 4th setup. Same basic spot as the 3rd setup, but I'm still adjusting, getting it into the exact position. Again, going to use the tire iron a little bit. All I'm trying to do is get that lock to line up just the way it's supposed to be. Notice I'm flipping it up so I can look at it a little bit, make sure where I am. The locks sometimes, as I said, are very easy. Sometimes they're really hard. It's not that they don't fit, but because you've actually used the rim jack on it, things are out of place, and you're actually endeavoring to put it back into the correct position. All right, we've got it actually locked where it should be. And now I'm going to inflate the entire completely up to its specified pressure. Make sure everything's in shape like it's supposed to be.
Not much.
Check the pressure on it, and I'm just adjusting the pressure back and forth till it's exactly correct. That locking mechanism has a little rotating piece there that gets adjusted to make sure it's in place. You notice it's been adjusted. It's not actually in the video, but it's adjusted to be a keeper, and that holds the wheel rim together correctly. Again, working on the pressure until it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. I like to inflate them basically close to maximum pressure. They'll be just fine.
That's it.
There we have it, up to the pressure we want. Now you notice I'm going to use a wood block and a 5-pound sledge to make sure everything's a little bit better aligned now. Everything's up to pressure. And there you have a finished and assembled tire on a Firestone rim. Like and subscribe. See you later.